Hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So, you might be asking, why is this truck in the garage? Why does he have his daily in there? Don't worry, we're not working on that truck. It's too new. It doesn't need anything. So, funny story is, last night, cruising Facebook Marketplace, still on the hunt for a motor for the Pontiac. Haven't been having the best of luck. So, literally, it's been a toss-up between big block, LS. It just really, I've even been looking for small blocks, just trying to find something. And pickings are slim. Seems like when you're not looking for it, it's just, they're everywhere. The moment you start looking, it's just like, yeah, good luck, turkey. I ended up stumbling onto a marketplace post that had only been posted for a couple hours, and it was only about a half hour away from me. And basically it was this. So, big block, 454 out of an RV. It's a TBI model. Don't know the year on it. Don't know much about it. They did say it was a lower mile motor. And then turbo 400 trans. So, both of these guys, how much you think that cost? Yeah, it was one of those, I was like, I don't care if the motor's trash or not. It's worth it. $400 for all that. That's hard to beat. I mean, a core on these things is like $800. So I figure, worst case, I'm at least ahead 400 there, maybe. I don't know. So the plan is, today I've got to get this thing out of the truck. It's Monday. I got to get this thing out of the truck and on the stand. We still got the torque converter hooked up. We still got exhaust hooked up. That all's got to come off. Then I can get this guy hooked up with the hoist, get him picked up, pull the truck out, and I got to swing back over here. I got to get that 350 off the stand and onto a little dolly or something just to roll it around. And then we can put the big block on the stand. Then can go about hunting down numbers so I can find out, you know, kind of maybe what year this thing is. Just kind of look at some of the stuff on it and see, you know, what exactly I bought for $400. I'm hoping it doesn't need a whole lot of work and a whole lot of money. Not expecting it to require a lot. The guys there, they were super forthright, you know, about what was going on. They were like, it's got good compression, it turns over, and that's about all we know. Okay, I'll go with that. You know, I did notice whenever we were loading this guy up, I noticed that it does have fresh intake gaskets. You know, everything else is just kind of there. You know, that's really about it. I did have this one valve cover was unbolted. They actually had a picture of it with it unbolted, but of course it was taken in a dark setting and far away. So I pulled the valve cover off just a little while ago, and yeah, I don't know what's going on here. You know, did it just get some moisture set in there? You know, don't know. It's got some weird smells coming out of that. Doesn't quite smell like oil. It kind of smells like brake fluid. So I'm like, man, I hope this thing wasn't like sitting open out in the elements and it was stuck and they were putting brake fluid or tranny fluid or something down in it to try to get it to break loose. But I don't know. Either way, it's something that's usable, even if it doesn't work, you know, right out of the box, if it needs machine work and all that stuff. Okay, not a big deal. Now I've got a game plan. So now I can take this motor down and get it machined, get it worked, and then we could do some fun build stuff with this. And then I'll just pull the drivetrain out of Steve and put it in the Pontiac temporarily. And then once this thing gets done being built, then we can throw the motor either in Steve, which, I don't know, I'm kind of big block short bed Chevy C10. That's kind of fun. Big block A-body car. That's kind of fun too. So, you know, it's which way do I go with this? So that's still up in the air. But if it's good enough to run and just go as is, I'm probably just going to go ahead and slap it into Pontiac, be done with it. But if it's going to have to go to the machine shop, then we'll see what we're going to do on down the road. Anyways, I'm going to quit talking and I'm going to start moving things around and get this thing out of the truck and get it on a stand. So I'll be right back. I was going to try to save the Y pipe, mainly because, you know, it's there. Maybe I could use it, maybe not, I don't know. Those 3 came off pretty easy. One of these came off, and the other ones, yeah, not so much. Let's see, I think, yeah, I got that one. That one won't turn, that guy. And then, yeah, good luck getting in there. So, I'm just gonna use the Sawzall, cut it off. That way it's out of my way. I can go ahead and move on to getting the torque converter out. So, yep, that's what I'm doing. So got her stripped down enough to get on the stand. It's on the stand. It's a cheap Harbor Freight half-ton stand. You know, that should be roughly 1,000 pounds. Yeah, I don't know if I trust that 100%. So I don't remember what a fully loaded big block weighs. 750, 800 pounds, something like that. So it should be all right. But the thing I'm running into here is you can see the motor's leaning. I mean, yeah, it's fully loaded. It's got the cast iron manifolds, cast iron intake. You know, still got the water pump, the crankshaft pulley. You know, it's still got some stuff on it. But if you look down here, let's see. Yeah, right there. You can see that head of that bolt right there is resting up against the flex plate. Same thing right over there, resting up against the flex plate, and it's kind of got the flex plate kind of bowed a little bit. I don't like that. Not a big fan. So I think what I'm gonna do real quick, I say real quick, this could turn into a nightmare, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and shoot all the bolts on the exhaust manifolds because those got to come off anyways. I'll probably just kind of tear down part of the motor, just take some of that weight off, and then worst case, I'll leave the hoist hooked up to it overnight and just kind of hold, you know, the front of it up. That way, you know, when we go to tearing this thing on down to kind of look at everything, kind of get a little better idea about what's going on there. So, all right, well, let's pull off some exhaust manifolds. So we'll be right back. right, so got the oil drained out. It had fresh oil in it, so I know they said that they ran it. It's a little concerning. Won't know more for another day or two. There was definitely some moisture. So, yeah, you can see here on the, this is the driver's side. You can see we got, you know, some good rust kicking up in here. The push rods are even rusted up right over there. This push rod is in really bad shape. Let's see. Yeah, you can see maybe, but it is just, I'll have to replace that push rod at the very least. Passenger side head, roughly the same. A lot of rust up in here in the top. Yeah, you can see where it's come in on the intake. See, it's got some rust down in there. Same thing over here. We got rust. So that's not unheard of. You know, you got a valve sitting open. However, the motor was stopped. You got a valve kind of sitting open. You know, it'll let moisture in, condensation, you know, temperature changes. You know, here in Middle Tennessee, we have some pretty drastic temperature changes. Any of y'all in the Southeast, you know what I'm talking about. So, but just kind of looking down in here, I've already got it kind of moved off over here in the corner of shame. Just to, you know, make room so I can pull Steve in. But I mean, the cam lobes, they don't look terrible. You know, the lifters, from what I can tell, they don't look too terribly bad. But with all this rust, I mean, you can see, let's see if I can get a pinch of it. I mean, you can see all that crap. So, I don't know. Worst case, you know, it's got to go to the machine shop. Okay, I got a backup plan for that. We'll pull Steve's drivetrain, throw it in a Pontiac, and rock on. So I don't know exactly what we're going to be doing just yet as far as this motor's concerned. I think I'm just going to wait for Kruck to come over here. He knows a hell of a lot more about motors than I do, especially on the inside. You know, we'll probably end up pulling the heads just so we can take a look at everything, and then worst case, clean up the heads, you know, off the motor. We can verify that the inside the cylinders where, you know, the combustion chamber is, everything's good there. We don't have anything really messed up on the inside of the cylinder walls. So yeah, he'll be over here on Wednesday. Today's Monday. That means I've done pretty much all I can do for now. I may come back out tomorrow night and roll it over and pull the pan and just see what it looks like on the bottom side, but we may just wait and do all that on Wednesday when Kruck gets over here. So anyhow, I guess we'll catch up with y'all then. All right, folks, Wednesday. We got Kruck over here. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and pull the heads on this guy. Mainly really kind of concerned with what it looks like down in the combustion chamber. Plus, these heads are going to have to get cleaned up. There's just too much crap going on there. So we're going to pull the heads off, take a look at everything, and then probably roll it over, pull the pan, and see what it looks like on the bottom side. So I guess we'll be back in just a moment. Yeah, I don't think they were totally truthful with me with it firing off. Not with the cylinders full of training fluid, maybe. So, yeah, let's get in here and look. So, number one, got, yeah, training fluid, maybe. That's what I'm guessing. Number two, definitely, same thing. But the cylinder walls actually look pretty good. Let me grab a light. Cylinder walls in here actually don't look bad. And they're pretty good. So there's a faint little bit of crosshatch you can still see. Then you come back here and ew. That's just a big hunk of rust. That's all that is, just a big hunk of wet rust. And then we got, I'm guessing, coolant and rust and water all kind of mixed together here. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So we found that on this side. So I guess we're going to go to the other side and pull that head off and see what awaits us there. Hopefully not more of the same, but we'll, gross. But yeah, we'll pull that other head off, see what it looks like, clean these cylinders out, and then maybe roll it over a little bit and see what it looks like. So, be back in a moment. Passenger side head off, and once again Marvel Mystery Oil down the cylinders. This one not so much. Yeah, and we had a little bit of gunk mixed in over here on this one, so a little grody, but we'll go through and clean these guys out and see what we got. So be right back. All pans off, as you probably could see. We had a little milkshake stuff going on here. So yeah, there's a little bit going on right there. Ew. All right, so yeah, I have to really clean that oil pan up. But so what we've come up with, mainly Kruck, is this thing sitting out somewhere. Somebody pulled it out of an RV and had it sitting, and it was kind of sitting leaned over to the driver's side, and just water getting into it. It wasn't, covered really well. Water getting into it, getting down there, and just kind of where it was sitting on that that valley where it's really, really rusty, that was just sitting in water. Whenever it got moved and rolled over and picked up and all that fun stuff, oil got in there, got mixed in with, or the water got in there and got mixed with the oil, and then them probably trying to start it and turn it over, frothed it up and made it into a nice little chocolatey milkshake.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard and they're like, it's better than yours.
So now though, we can see the bottom end of the motor, and she's nice. So 4-bolt mains, very good. But I mean, this thing is like clean.
If it was a blown head gasket and stayed blown head gasket, the water would be in the bottom and this would all be rusty. So
very good point.
That's why I say it wasn't a blown head gasket. It was a top end sitting in the rain. So them turning it over created all this. Yeah.
But, and Kruck pointed out, look at this freaking timing chain. Thing looks brand spanking new. So definitely a low mile motor. Everything looks good. You went through and wiggled.
I wiggled a bunch.
Yeah, he went through and wiggled, and these aren't, there's no loose bearings anywhere. Yeah. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. You can see that puddle down there on that piston. Yeah. But, no, I mean, everything looks great. So, so satisfied with the bottom end, we're going to roll it over and let the rest of this nasty milkshake oil drain out and just kind of, you know, drip. So we're going to let this, you know, sit there and drip. And then we're going to go ahead and roll it back over while it's dripping. And we're going to try to rotate it over and see what the actual cylinder walls look like. See if they're marred up or, you know, garbage, or that they need to be honed or what. So be right back. All right, folks, so got the motor rolled back over. We hit it with some WD-40 before we started rotating the pistons and doing all that stuff, trying to check the cylinder walls, see what they look like. Cleaned it up pretty good while it was upside down. Went ahead and shot it with brake clean to get all that gunk and crap out of there, because it was like 800 grit buffing compound in there. But you can see cylinder walls are pretty good. They got a few little marks on them here and there. You know, this isn't bad. But for the most part, these cylinders are really in good shape. So, talking it over and figure what's going to end up happening next is going to go ahead and basically disassemble the entire block. Get everything pulled out of it. Pull the crank, pull the pistons, get all that stuff out of it. And then I'm going to go through and clean the block up, because we still have all this rust and all this, you know, flake and pitting and crap that we need to clean up in here, specifically here in the valley. And while I'm at it, go ahead and do some other housekeeping things, like cleaning up these edges where it's super sharp. Also make the passages a little bit better for the oil drainage. And then just kind of clean up out here on the block as well, just going around it and making sure that things are, you know, nice and clean. Gonna go through, get all that cleaned up, and then I'm gonna order new. Let's say we made a list. Ordering crap, more money to spend. But I'm gonna go ahead and order a cam kit. Yes, it's getting a cam. I've got a distributor. It's a Jegs cheapie. Don't know if it's gonna work really good. I had it, I want to say, in Big John, and it had a weird mist to it, so I'll probably just go ahead and buy a nice MSD distributor. Let's see, I got to get a gasket set, gonna get new main and rod bearings, new rings. What are we gonna do? High volume oil pump, and then the rest of the stuff's just kind of, you know, accessory stuff that gonna need to have for eventually when the motor's up and running. So yeah, once we get all that good stuff in, can slap this block back together. We got the heads, you know, they got a ton of rust in those. So I think what we're going to do with that is take the heads, disassemble them, get everything off of them, strip them completely down, sandblast them, get them cleaned up, and then go back through and reassemble them so they'll be fresh. And pretty much all the gear, all the hardware on those heads is really good. Some of the rocker studs are a little rough, but they should clean up. And then worst case, I can always, get new ones. Okay, so we're going to take and just kind of leave all this stuff sitting around, giant mess for tonight. I'm probably going to come back out here tomorrow night and start disassembling the bottom end and, trying to get that stuff going. And then maybe this weekend, get to working on cleaning up the block and getting all this stuff ready to go. So, yeah, I guess I'll see y'all tomorrow. All right, folks, we're back out here Saturday. Been a busy week, so I hadn't had time to get out to the shop. So Saturday, Mr. Kruckenberg's back out here. So now we're going to tear down the bottom end of the motor. We went ahead earlier because trying to figure out what parts need to be ordered and all that. Went ahead and pulled the oil pump off and popped off this main and popped off this main. Just kind of look at what's going on there. Bearings are a little eat up, so definitely going to set a new set of bearings in it. So anyways, we're going to get in here. We're going to tear this thing on down, pull the pistons and the rods and everything out, pull the crank out, and, just generally tear down the block. So, yeah, we're going to get to it. Get back to you here in a few. right, so block is pretty well tore down. Still got the camshaft out, no big deal there. But we got the crank out. We're sitting here going over it, just checking. And you know, rule of thumb is if it grabs your fingernail, it's going to need to be turned out. We don't have anything that's grabbing the fingernail per se, but we can definitely feel some things that are, you know, they're rougher than they need to be. So especially back here, we're pretty sure that's all going to polish out. Let's see, came back over here. We got all of our pistons lined up in order, all of our main caps lined up in order, and you can see, whoops, you can see that that main bearing's seen better days. She was about plumb wore through. So definitely glad doing bearings on it. But the rest of the bearings, I mean, they're definitely worn, but they're not like they're not as bad as some bearings. Cough, 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 cough. So pulled all the rods out, rods and pistons. Pulled all those guys out, and they all look pretty good. Again, the bearings are all pretty wore down. We're not down to the copper, but they've definitely got some miles on them. So you can see they've had a few cycles, and a little bit of trash going through the motor. You know, obviously, I think the guy I bought it from had tried to start it, especially with all that rust and crap in the top end. That definitely would have caused some trash to go through the oiling system. So the one thing that we ran into that wasn't quite a big surprise, but I don't think we were really prepared for, was number 5 and number 7. So if you remember back, number 5 was a really bad cylinder. That's the one that had like all the grit on top of it and just did not look good. So before I show you number 5's piston, let's look at like number 1. It was a good cylinder. Everything looked the way it should up there. So if we look at the piston, you know, you got your rings, you know, they go out past the edges of the piston. You know, they're there to scrape the cylinder walls. So you got all that. Everything looks good. I need an extra hand. That's okay. I can do it this way. But you can see they move, you know, like they're supposed to. They got a little movement in them because they're not supposed to stay still. They're supposed to move around. Okay, so now we come back here to number 5. And the way we got this organized is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But yeah, number 5, which was definitely the worst. You see that? I don't know if those rings are going to come out. I mean, they're like gone. So yeah, number 7 was not as bad, but it was pretty bad as well. Yeah, you can kind of see this is the bad part of the piston. So gunk, grit, all that crap just, you know, eat up on there. And then we actually still got, you know, a ring on this side, which, yeah, she's stuck. So number 7 wasn't as bad. It's still pretty bad. So I'm not sure the best way to get those rings out. Probably going to end up having to soak it to let it try to break something down there. Probably soak it in some diesel or something. But we're going to go through and do all that later, not right now. Right now we're just working on getting the block cleaned up to, I guess, go take it and get it hot tanked. Since there has been metal going through it, definitely want to get it hot tanked so that way we're not putting fresh stuff in this thing and just ruining it again by running metal back through it. So we're going to continue cleaning up on this guy a little bit, and I'm going to pull this camshaft out, and I don't know, I'll catch back up with y'all when I figure out what we're doing after that. All right, folks. So got the block all stripped down, ready to go. Went through, pulled everything out. Only thing left in it are the cam bearings, and they look good. Everything seems fine on those guys, so we're going to let them ride. We went through and cleaned up all the edges where we had some really nasty casting edges out here. Basically just freaking razor blade sharp out here. And also, what I've been told by Kruck over there is those can create some weak points in the block. If you're going to get cracked, they're going to start right in those areas. So we wiped all those guys out, went all the way around it, knocked all those casting nastiness pieces out, knocked all the sharp edges down, because nothing sucks worse than reaching down into something and as you're dragging your hand back up, you just slice it and you're like, well, that's great. So cleaned all that stuff up. Got the block looking really, really good. It's nice and smooth. Down here in the valley, went through and cleaned all the excess crap up here. This thing was, I mean, you couldn't stick your finger in there without getting a cut. So now it's just, it's super smooth. That's going to help with the oil drainage. It's going to let it drain down a little bit faster. And once this thing comes back from the machine shop, we'll probably go through and put a coat of paint in here. Little tip from Freiburger. Throwing a little paint down in the valley helps that oil just move. So that way you don't have to worry about, oil just kind of hanging around up on the top end. So what's happening next? Well, the block's going to go to the machine shop and going to get it hot tanked. And that'll get all that crap cleaned out. Apparently it had some metal and some other things go through the oil passages. That was evidenced by the bearings, because we saw on the bearings where they had some nice little grooves cut in them and they were chewed up pretty good. Couple slight grooves in the crank. Just a couple. They're not really strong enough to grab your fingernail and stop you, but you can kind of feel the little ridge. So we think those are going to polish out. We're actually going to run those over to Kruck's dad's house and let him take a look at it. He is a retired machinist, so he knows his way around this stuff. So he'll be able to tell us if that'll polish out or not. Pretty sure it will, but, just verifying with him. So we come back over here. We got all these guys. I got to soak these guys to try to get the rings to break loose on number 5 and number 7. So we get the rings off of them. And then just go through. I'm going to clean all these guys up, get all this stuff ready to go. Ordering new bearings. Also ordering cam with lifters. Got to order timing set for it. New push rods. Whole bunch of crap. So yeah. Awesome deal on the motor. Only paid $400 for the motor, but tearing it down, now having to basically do just a refresh. And I don't even know if this really counts as a rebuild, but I guess it does kind of count as a rebuild. Basically rebuilding it, plus all the extra parts I need to put on it to make it run. Since it was, had all that crap on it with the TBI and all that stuff, and I'm not using any of that. So ordering a new intake, ordering some headers for it. I've already got a carburetor. I've got all the pieces and parts that we need, except for the intake and the headers. All the other stuff, I'm going to end up spending about $1,500 in parts. So that pretty much includes, that's most everything. So I'm going to have right around $2,000 in a very fresh 454. It's going to sound nasty. It's going to sound like a pig or a hog grunting. Got that hog ass cam. So it'd be pretty cool. $2,000, but it's going to be a nice little big block that should last for quite some time. And then when it breaks, we'll do something more fun to it. Phase 2, throw some heads on it, put a stroker kit in it, do some real fun with it. So that'll wrap it up for this week. I do appreciate y'all guys watching. If you haven't hit the like button yet, go ahead and hit that like button if you don't mind. Also, if you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed and you like this kind of content and you like, square body truck content, there's a lot on that Blazer. Be sure and hit that subscribe button. It's just right there in the corner. Doesn't cost nothing. All it does is help grow the channel and let you know whenever I got a new video out, which is weekly. So anyways, I do appreciate y'all guys watching. Tune in next week. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to get into. Maybe doing some head work next week. So we'll see what next week holds. But till then, just remember, guys and gals, it ain't got to be perfect. Just good enough. We'll talk to y'all later.